and thank you to our witnesses for being here today. Admiral Aquilino, I want to ask about the impact of defense industry consolidation on our ability to compete militarily and to be able to control costs. So last month, the Department of Defense issued a disturbing report finding that defense mergers and growing concentration is reducing the number of suppliers and creating vulnerabilities in our supply chain. And of course, that's because when only a small number of companies produce components that DoD needs to buy, a pandemic or a single company's decision to cease production can leave us without the parts that we need. Or instead of ceasing production, those companies can just jack up prices to make more profits without fear of being undercut by competitors. So let me ask, Admiral Aquilino, do you consider hypersonic weapons to be an important priority?
Yes, ma'am.
Hypersonic weapons is one area where the DoD report is particularly alarming, warning that vertical integration of those contractors and suppliers, quote, will likely lead to reduced competition and may eliminate it altogether. Do you agree that DoD generally benefits from competition among defense contractors and suppliers?
Senator, let me just start by saying I don't have any acquisition authority, but competition is certainly the foundation of our free market.
Well, it's not only a foundation of our free market, you're absolutely right, but it's how we assure that we're going to have supply and we're going to have it at a price that we can afford. That's why I've been concerned that DoD is asleep at the wheel when it comes to mergers and acquisitions. Since the 1990s, we have gone from 51 aerospace and defense prime contractors down to just 5 today. Controlling costs for hypersonics is going to be a major challenge for the department. The GAO found that the costs of one of the Navy's programs nearly doubled in a single year, and that an Air Force program increased by 40% in its first year. Look, we're planning to invest about $15 billion through 2024, so those kinds of cost increases add up in a hurry. Overruns in these programs take resources away from other department priorities and other needs across the federal government. And the cost issues are significant enough that the Air Force Secretary Kendall has expressed concerns that they are not, quote, cost effective. So let me just ask you one more question in this general area, if I can. There are a number of factors that drive these cost increases. I realize that. There's complexity, poor planning, weak oversight. But do you think it will be important to prevent further concentration among hypersonics contractors, Admiral?
Senator, again, without not being the person who actually purchases those things, I think what I would say is I need the capability, and I need it as soon as possible. I encourage any particular way that we can execute that with the most effectiveness for the delivery of the system at the most efficient cost to the taxpayer.
I appreciate that, and that's fair enough. You know, I think the department's report makes clear that this needs to be a priority. If we don't have competition in this sector, it's going to be extremely difficult to control costs. And I'm working on legislation to address this right now. So, Admiral, I hope that you and I can work together on controlling costs as we go forward. As you may know, your command submitted the largest wish list of any command, nearly $1 billion. And these so-called unfunded priorities have become an extremely pernicious tool to boost what is already runaway Pentagon spending. So I'm going to be following up with you with more questions about these lists, but I urge you to be a more responsible steward of taxpayer dollars than your predecessors were, and to think carefully about your requests for this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Warren. Senator Tuberville, please.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen.